Literate Adivasis began to search and write about the history and myths. They documented and disseminated information about tribal customs and cultural practices. So, all those Adivasis which were literate, educated, they started writing about the history and myths. And they documented all the facts related to their customs and cultural practices in the tribal literature. This helped to create an unified ethnic consciousness and a shared identity as Jharkhandis. And this literature unified the Adivasis in Jharkhand region. Literate Adivasis were also in a position to get government jobs, so that over time a middle class Adivasi leadership emerged that formulated the demand for a separate state and lobbied for it in India and abroad. And these educated and literate Adivasis in Jharkhand, they were in the position to get government jobs, and because of this they created a quality leadership among themselves that formulated the demand for a separate state and started lobbying with Indian concerned people and the people abroad. Within South Bihar, Adivasis shared a common hatred of Dikus, that is migrant traders and moneylenders who had settled in the area and grabbed its wealth, impoverishing the original residents. In South Bihar, the Adivasis, they hated the Dikus. Dikus are the migrant traders and the moneylenders who have settled in their area and have snatched all of the wealth that the Adivasis had. Most of the benefits from the mining and industrial projects in this mineral-rich region had gone to Dikus, and all the benefits of mining in mineral was taken by the Dikus, even as Adivasi lands had been alienated. Adivasis' experiences of marginalization and the set of injustice were mobilized to create a shared Jharkhandi identity and inspire collective action that eventually led to the formation of a separate state. And the mobilization amongst the Adivasis and the education of their leaders and their leadership quality helped them in getting a separate state. The issues against which the leaders of the movement in Jharkhand agitated were acquisition of land for large irrigation projects and firing ranges, survey and settlement operations which were held up, camps closed down, collection of loans, rent and cooperative dues which were resisted, nationalization of forest produce which were boycotted. The process of state formation initiated by the Indian government following the attainment of independence generated disquieting in all the major hill districts in the region. Conscious of their distinct identity and traditional autonomy, the tribes were unsure of being incorporated within the administrative machinery of Assam. So, after independence, the process of state formation which the Indian government started generated disquieting in all the major hill districts in the region. The conscious of their distinct identity and tradition autonomy, The tribes were unsure of being incorporated within the administrative machinery of Assam. The rise of ethnicity in the region is thus the response to cope with the new situation which developed as the consequence of the tribes' contact with a powerful alien system. Long isolated from the Indian mainstream, the tribes were able to maintain their own world view and social and cultural institutions with little external influence. As the tribes were isolated with the mainstream for a long period of time, therefore they were able to maintain their culture and they were able um, to practice their own ways of living. While the earlier phase showed a tendency towards secessionism, this trend has been replaced by the search for autonomy within the framework of the Indian Constitution. Reservation for SC, ST and OBCs. Independent India has firmly and explicitly embraced the protective discrimination policy in favor of deprived groups, namely scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, other backward classes, women and minorities. So this was the protective discrimination policy of the government of India after independence, which favored the deprived groups, that is the SCs, scheduled castes, STs, scheduled tribes and OBCs, other backward classes. This policy has succeeded to some extent in taking care of the special needs of the deprived groups. Compensatory discrimination may be described as a way of reducing social disparities by creating special opportunities for some in addition to equal opportunities created for all. And a new method, that is compensatory discrimination, was introduced. According to this, the deprived classes were given some special opportunities in addition to the equal opportunities created for all. The concept of reservation is an origin of Indian statutes followed by the Constitution of India, and reservation is mentioned in the statutes to the Constitution of India. The reservation policy was originated through the Indian Council Act 1909, where 4 different communities were provided for the first time reservation in politics. Later on, in 1909, the Indian Council Act opened the gates for the reservation in the country, and 4 different communities were provided first reservation in politics. Later on, the reservation policy was extended to 10 communities in the Government of India Act 1919, and in Government of India Act 1919, 10 more communities were added to the reservation policy list, and further extended to 17 categories through the Government of India Act 1935 and 17 as per the Government of India Act. So first only 4 communities were reserved as per the Indian Council Act 1919, then in Indian Council Act 1909, then in 1919 this was extended for 10 communities, and then as per Government of India Act 1935 it was extended to 17 deprived communities. Before independence, some of the reservation groups in politics were Sikhs, Muslims, Parsis, Indian Christians, Europeans, scheduled castes, backward tribes, landholders and women. This communal reservation was abolished after independence in August 1947. In Indian Constitution, specific provisions for reservation were made only for scheduled castes. In August 1947, and as per the Constitution, the only provision for reservation was made for the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward castes, classes, and women. Reservations are extended on the basis of proportionality or percentage of population of SC/ST in relation to other population in society. And the basis of providing reservation was in accordance to the proportionality or percentage of population of the reserved, that is the SC/ST, in relation to other population in society. At present, there are three types of reservations under the Indian Constitution, and at present there are three types of reservation under Indian Constitution.